So here I am just relaxing in the backyard of Beach Baby Bob. Oh look, here he is.
Hi.
What's going on?
Just enjoying the coolness on a really hot day in my backyard because of my trees.
Yeah, it's protecting you from all the heat.
Well, I learned a long time ago, I think I was about maybe in my early 20s when I was planning. I had just bought a new house, like a small little new house. We had just gotten married and I got a little house, and I was trying to decide what trees to put on the property. And somebody said, well, you should be planting a lot of trees because trees grow into giant plants. And plants, they breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. The opposite to what humans do. So if you didn't have the trees and the plants, you wouldn't have any
You'd be
oxygen.
doomed.
Yeah. So anyway.
So I was gonna ask you, like, which tree were you gonna show me one of your trees today?
Yeah. So if you just sort of scan around slowly, and you'll notice that there's lots of trees in the yard.
There sure are. Where are we? Like, for the people that don't know, where are we right now?
Close to Toronto, in a little town called Cambridge, Ontario.
Right. And there's a lot of different trees here.
Yeah, but I want you to come over here because there's one of my favorite ones is right here, and it's not very big.
Which one is that?
So it's this one right here. I'll just step
one.
over the fence here and stand beside it.
It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of spindly.
Well, you notice it is spindly. I prefer to call it delicate. So it's a tree because it has one main stem or trunk, and then branches up here, and then as you get higher up, the branches get tinier. And you'll notice the leaves, they're green this time of year, and they're kind of like almost like a little bit of a butterfly or a heart-shaped leaf. Anyway, and then if you really look closely, you'll see some berries.
There's one right there. It won't focus.
What color is it?
It's kind of purpley red.
Right, and those berries didn't appear, they weren't there a week ago.
Oh.
They've just started to come on, but you'll notice there's not very many because the birds love them.
Really?
Right, and this isn't a very big tree.
No, it's about 15 feet high.
Well, it's called a serviceberry tree.
Serviceberry.
And there's different kinds of serviceberry trees here in the northern part of North America. So Canada is the home of the serviceberry tree, especially on the East Coast. So stop filming the
Trying to get that tiny spider.
Yeah, and look at this tree. So it's a serviceberry tree, but there's different kinds, and this one's known as it's a serviceberry. We'll just call it a serviceberry tree, and some people call it a Juneberry tree. Some people call it what's the other name they use? Oh, they have a bunch of names for it. But
Serviceberry, eh?
it's a serviceberry tree because it starts off with it's a deciduous tree, so it loses its leaves in the fall, and then it stays bare for the winter. But you know what? It's one of those trees that is so hardy. Like if it doesn't get enough water, it's still okay. If it gets too much sun, and it likes sun, it's still okay. If you put it in the shade like I did, it doesn't like that, but it's still okay. And the reason it doesn't like the shade as opposed to the sun is because it's going to bear fruit. It's a fruit tree, and it's in the it's very hardy. So, but in the wintertime, when all the other trees the deciduous trees have lost their leaves, this thing still got its leaves, and it might even have a few berries on it. So you got birds almost in the winter, at the beginning of the winter, eating some of the berries, and some of the leaves are still on it, which is very unique. They call it a serviceberry tree because in parts of eastern Canada, when the tree started to get leaves on it, that told the parish people at the church that they could start to dig graves and have funeral services. Because when this tree starts to get leaves, then pretty much spring is here.
It's time to dig in the ground.
And the other thing too is it flowers with these beautiful, beautiful rosette flowers, which have 5 petals, and they're white, and they cover the whole tree, but they only last for maybe a week. And then you get the berries forming after the flowers disappear, and then the birds, especially robins, they love to eat the berries off this tree. But people can eat the berries too.
I was gonna say, are you munching on these berries too?
Well, I don't get any because the robins look, it's such a small tree, the robins have pretty much cleaned them out.
So are these berries kind of like fully grown on here? Like,
yeah, but
so
you
they're
know,
supposed to
it
look
depends on, like this tree should be in the sun.
Right.
So the berries, of course, are kind of dwarf. But I don't know if you can look, but the berries look like a little bit of an apple. Okay?
It's hard to
Like
tell.
they start off bright green and like an apple, but they're like baby apples because they belong to the palm family, P-O-M-E.
Yeah.
And an apple is a palm fruit. Like, have you ever heard palm?
Yeah, like pomme de terre,
Pomme de terre. Okay, so that's the family it belongs to, one of the families. And so it's not an apple tree, but it belongs to the same family.
Well, they're smaller than cherries, those berries.
Yeah,
they're
they're not blueberries, they're not elderberries.
They're smaller than blueberries too.
Yeah, they're smaller, but remember, this is because this tree's in the shade and I shouldn't have planted it in the shade.
And that's because maybe this thing is blocking it.
And yeah, the catalpa tree is just blocking all the sunlight. But this is so hardy, so if you were going to plant this in your yard, you'd maybe want to put it in the sun. And it's the kind of tree that's doesn't take over the garden. Like, it doesn't try to boss the other trees or the other plants.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not gonna, people aren't gonna necessarily stop and go, oh, there's a serviceberry tree. They might not even know what it is unless it's in flower, and then they'll stop and look at it. But that only happens for about a week, and then the flowers go away.
This looks like one of those trees, if you're driving down the road, you might see like something like this on just growing in the bush, just like kind of, you don't even notice it.
Underneath all the other trees, because it's not
a flashy one.
It's not a flashy tree, except when it flowers. But anyway, I put it here because I knew that it would have berries. I knew some of the berries might even last into the early winter, and the birds need food. I thought maybe if there was enough berries on it, I could make jam or, you know, some kind of a relish with it.
Have you ever tried that?
I never did because I never got enough.
You never get the berries.
It's too small. But anyway, I recommend it highly for a tree that you can count on. It's not going to die on you. It doesn't live forever and ever and ever, and it doesn't die young. But it has a sort of an average lifespan. But I've had this one maybe 20 years.
So let me just get this straight. This is called a serviceberry because like the funeral services is what gives it the name serviceberry.
Yeah, because when it gets its leaves,
then it's
spring, and then you can dig the frozen ground.
That makes sense. And
then
then
Juneberry, because the berries come out
around now,
May, June, depending on whether it's in the shade and where it is in the northern part of North America.
Right, because we're just in early July, so I guess the robins have got all the berries now.
So since this town I'm in is close to Toronto, which is sort of not in the middle of Canada, it's more on the east side of Canada, so we're in the northeast part of North America. So in the United States, you know, states like Vermont and New York, those are all places where you'd find serviceberry trees. And if you want to look for them, they're very delicate, and you might see an awful lot of them because so this is a common one, you're saying? It's a common North America tree, and very, very hardy and good for the environment.
Now, one more question. So you have it like a sort of a stake there holding it up. Like, is this stake necessary? Is it just decorative? Or
no,
what?
the stake's not necessary.
So it doesn't need it to just like it'll flop over.
I hang little bells from it, you know, all kinds of things. And I got a dog tag around it.
Right.
I'm just one of those people that puts crazy things in
weirdo
their yard.
Doing weird stuff.
Okay, so remember, it's a serviceberry tree, and there's different kinds. And this is the one that you find I'm in zone 5. 5, 6, or 7 is the best zone for your serviceberry tree in Canada.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.